What's going on, guys? It's John here from RPO Bay Hockey to talk about a trade. The Chicago Blackhawks have traded Artem Anisimov to the Ottawa Senators in exchange for Zack Smith. So Zack Smith heading to the Blackhawks. I'm going to talk about everything to do with this trade, but if you are here, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like. Like I said, I'm going to talk about this trade, but please do subscribe, show the support for more content, videos coming every day here on RPO Bay Hockey. Let's look at Zack Smith's cap hit right off the bat. So Zack Smith, 2 years left on his contract, modified no trade clause, so he did submit a 10-team no trade clause, and the Chicago Blackhawks were not on that list. So he submitted the 10-team no trade list, and the Blackhawks weren't on there, so he was able to be traded to the Blackhawks in exchange for Anisimov. He has 2 years left on that 4-year contract. He signed with the Ottawa Senators at $3.25 million. He is 31 years old, and if you look at his stats last year in 70 games with the Ottawa Senators, 28 points, 9 goals, 19 assists. He's kind of had an up and down career. His best year to date in the NHL was 36 points in 2015-2016. You see in 2017-2018, minus 32, only 19 points. So a very rough year in that. Last year, he had a bigger role. Obviously, the Ottawa Senators were trading pieces out, and Zack Smith got a bigger role. But for the Chicago Blackhawks, what they're getting is a third or fourth line guy, a vet, 31 years of age, like I said, at a 3.25. So if you look at Anisimov's cap hit, he has a $4.55 million cap hit. So you're saving about $1.3 million per year. His modified no trade clause just ended as of July 1st. He has 2 years left on his contract. That 5-year contract that he signed with the Chicago Blackhawks, that first couple of years was really successful. He was playing with a guy like Patrick Kane. You see back in 2015-2016, 42 points, 2016-2017, 45 points. Last year, or the last 2 years, it took a dip, obviously. In 78 games last year, he had 37 points, 15 goals, 22 assists. So still better production than Zack Smith. So that is probably the confusing part for me. I really look at this trade and just look at the Chicago Blackhawks. They just acquired some grit in Andrew Shaw. That's essentially what they're getting in Zack Smith. They're getting a penalty killer. They're getting a guy that with grit, experience. So he's definitely going into your bottom six. Just a little more confused because I feel like if the Blackhawks are trying to go into the playoffs, Artem Anisimov was more of a bounce-back candidate. He's probably going to get 15-20 points more than Zack Smith, and that production could be huge for the Blackhawks. But he goes to the Ottawa Senators. The Senators can afford that extra cap hit, and he'll play a bigger role in Ottawa. I would expect, because he can play on the wing and center, I would expect him to play in the center role. He could definitely be in the top 6 for Ottawa. For Zack Smith, he's either going to play on that third-line center spot, but I would expect them to want a better player in that position, or he would play on the left or center position on the fourth line. So I don't mind this trade for the Blackhawks. Obviously, they've made very interesting moves this season, but it's just a little confusing because I feel like they're taking a little bit of a step back in terms of production, and you're really relying on the continuation of what Dylan Strome did last year and not really having a guy behind him, and I feel like Anisimov could have been that guy behind him. So I like this trade probably better for the Senators, but it's not like they're getting some steps into the rebuild. Anisimov, like I said, 2 years left on his contract. Zack Smith had 2 years left on his contract. Anisimov's probably just more of a skilled guy that can complement the pieces that are coming in from Ottawa, and whether that's a Batherson, a Formanton, some of the younger guys that are going to get more of a consistent role with the Sens next year. So overall, I think, like I said, the Sens are getting more production from a guy like Anisimov. The Chicago Blackhawks are getting maybe more experience and more of a bottom 6 character guy. And he can win faceoffs, he can play the penalty kill. So you got Andrew Shaw and Zack Smith. If they played on the same line, that'd be a fun third line to watch. They'd be throwing some hits around, maybe causing a couple of fights. So for the Blackhawks, maybe it gets more entertaining and you get more physical and more scared to play against. So that aspect is what the Blackhawks may be aiming at. But I'm not sure if I like the moves, some of the moves at least, that the Blackhawks have been making this season, whether it's Yoki Haru, trading Dominic Cahoon, and now trading Artem Anisimov. I will agree, and Blackhawks fans were expecting it, and I made my line of predictions probably too soon for the Blackhawks, but I've been trying to make them earlier and have some fun with it, and then have some updated line of predictions closer to the season. But Anisimov, I felt like, yeah, he was the one guy, along with Brandon Saad, that could be traded by the Blackhawks this offseason. Like I said, his modified no trade clause was gone as of July 1st, so that means they could trade him to any team, and I feel like the Ottawa Senators wouldn't have been able to acquire him if that no trade clause was still in effect. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of this trade. Definitely drop a like. Every like counts in getting more of the videos out there. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to 8,000, and I appreciate all the support. So Zack Smith to the Chicago Blackhawks, Artem Anisimov to the Ottawa Senators. Hope you have a good one. This was John from Hot Take Hockey. Peace out.